Hello everyone, JD here. I just wanted to share a little update with you all. We recently held our volunteer catch-up, which was a really lovely opportunity to spend some time together, have a good chat, and touch base with our wonderful volunteer team. There were some fantastic cakes made by our staff team and loads of sweet treats around, which all went down well. And it was really a nice way to say a big thank you to all of the team who give their time to support what we do. I also wanted to take some time to make you aware that we have been informed that there are a lot of scam calls going around at the moment where people are trying to get personal information. So they're getting really creative with their stories, so please do stay vigilant. Remember that you should never feel pressured to give out any personal information over the phone, and if you're ever unsure, it's always best to hang up and check with a trusted friend or family member. But you can always call us here at Sight for White if you're unsure about anything, and we'll always do our best to try and help. That's it from me for now. Take care everyone. Hope you all have a great week ahead and look forward to seeing you all again very soon.
Here is this week's charity news, the 27th of March 2026.
Our wonderful volunteers will be in Asda on Sunday collecting for the charity and selling our wonderfully knitted Easter goods. If you are shopping, please pop by and say hello.
No swimming at Medina is on Monday due to school holidays. It will resume on April the 13th.
Tandem biking is starting once again, and now the weather is warming up and the sun is shining. So if you would like a go on a tandem, please do not hesitate to call the office and we can book a slot for you. The group meets on a Tuesday every fortnight, although alternative arrangements can be made depending on volunteer availability.
Coffee and Chat is on Wednesday, starting at 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. The cost is £2 to include drinks and cake. Laura, the local ECLO, will be on hand to chat along with staff to help with any queries and to demonstrate equipment.
Mix and Mingle is on Thursday at Millbrook House, and this group enjoys crafts, quizzes and entertainment. If you would like to put your name down on the list, please call the office.
God's Hill Coffee Morning will be on Tuesday, the 7th of April at the Old Smithy, starting at 10:30 a.m. Please pop along and chat with our wonderful volunteers, Linda and Yvonne.
Our Walk and Talk Short Walk group will start on April the 10th, starting at Ryde Golf Club to Quor Abbey, where we will enjoy tea and cake, and please call the office for more details.
Our Easter knitted novelties are now on sale here at Millbrook House, Gurnard Press, The Crown in Chorwell, Bryston Stores, Tandem Tea Rooms and the Tide Mill, formerly the Sloop. We're asking for a donation of £2.50 for our small Cadbury egg novelties, which are gift bagged individually. We also have a limited amount of chocolate orange Easter novelties for a donation of £4.
Our Easter Square raffle will be drawn at the weekly Coffee and Chat on Wednesday. There is still time to call the office and buy a square or two for just £1 per square. We are very lucky to have some lovely prizes on offer, and all winners will be notified on Wednesday afternoon.
And thank you everyone who has donated books. We have our 2 bookstalls filled with wonderful books at Tesco, Freshwater and Ryde, which are very successful. Please keep collecting books, as this helps raise valuable funds for the charity throughout the year.
This is Alison reading an article from the Island Echo entitled "Government Confirms Isle of Wight Will Not Be Merged with Mainland Councils." Residents across the Isle of Wight have been given clarity over the future of local governments, with confirmation from government that the island will remain a single unitary authority and will not be merged with any neighbouring councils under local government reorganisation. The decision has been welcomed by Isle of Wight Council leader, Councillor Phil Jordan, who has described the outcome as a significant moment for the island, following months of discussions and representations to Labour's government. Councillor Jordan has today, Wednesday, said, "This is a hugely positive moment for the Isle of Wight. Today's decision provides the clarity, stability and security that our residents, businesses and communities rightly deserve. From the outset, I have been absolutely clear. The Isle of Wight is unique and its governance must reflect that. We are not simply another adjacent or attached authority that can be merged or absorbed. We are an island community with distinct needs, challenges and strengths, and today that has been recognised." The council leader has highlighted the work undertaken to secure the decision, including engagement with central government, local partners and other authorities. He continued by saying, "This outcome has not happened by chance. It has required persistence, evidence and a clear vision for what is right for our island. I have worked tirelessly with partners, with other authorities and with government in Westminster to ensure that our voice was heard and ensured that the case for remaining a single unitary authority was understood and accepted. In a challenging financial climate, certainty is invaluable. This decision allows us to focus fully on what we must do and deliver for our residents, protecting essential services, driving efficiency, and planning confidently for the future without the disruption and risk that structural change or a merger would have brought." Councillor Jordan also acknowledged that there had not been unanimous support locally during the process. "While I am very proud of what has been achieved, it is important to recognise that this was not universally supported. At a crucial moment last year, some councillors chose not to endorse the option to remain unchanged. They preferred to remain silent in supporting the island to remain unchanged. That approach risked weakening our position and creating uncertainty for the island. However, I remained steadfast and determined. I believed in the strength of our case and the importance of standing up for the Isle of Wight, and today's announcement shows that that was the right course." Looking ahead, the council leader said attention will now turn to securing fairer funding from government and ensuring the island is well positioned for the future.
This is Michael reading an article from Island Echo. Solent Travel Users Group surcharges campaign with new CIC status. The Solent Travel Users Group, STUG, has taken a major step forward in its campaign for fair, affordable and reliable cross-Solent travel by officially becoming a Community Interest Company, CIC. The move marks a powerful new phase for the fast-growing campaign group, giving STUG, STUG, the formal structure, credibility and extra horsepower needed to push harder for change on behalf of island communities. Now operating as a CIC STUG, which represents passengers across all cross-Solent routes, is better equipped to develop bold strategies and work directly with decision makers to tackle one of the island's most pressing issues, the cost and reliability of essential travel. The organisation is already working closely with the island's council and key partners and is backed by a growing groundswell of public support, with more than 10,500 people signed up to call on government to deliver fairer ferry travel for all. Bronwyn Hamilton Brown, chair of STUG CIC, has said, "With STUG's encouragement and negotiation, ferry companies have introduced several improvements over the past couple of years, but there is still much more to do. For most islanders, crossing the Solent is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Patients, students, families and visitors who support our economy rely on these lifeline services every day. Yet too often they face high costs and limited options. Change must start in the ferry companies, owners' boardrooms. They need to recognise the reality of island life. I believe that our new status as a CIC gives us the strength and credibility to push even harder and make that change happen. Stug's transition to a CIC signals a step change in its ability to influence policy, engage with operators and hold decision makers to account, with stronger governance and a clear public benefit mission. The organisation is positioning itself as a leading voice in the fight for fairer transport.
This is Patrina reading from Isle of Wight Radio. Isle of Wight at heart of National Coastal Erosion Report. The Isle of Wight has played a key role in shaping a major new parliamentary report on coastal erosion. The inquiry by the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Committee highlights the growing pressures facing coastal communities across the UK, with evidence from the island forming a significant part of its findings. Titled Erosion of Trust, the Impact of Coastal Erosion on Communities, the report concludes that coastal erosion is not only an environmental issue, but one with serious human consequences. Evidence from Isle of Wight Council officers and councillors, including members of the Coastal Loss and Landslide Forum, was used extensively throughout the inquiry. Among those contributing was the Council Service Director for Waste, Environment and Planning, Natasha Dix, whose testimony helped highlight the emotional impact on residents living with the threat of losing their homes. The report points to the psychological strain faced by affected families, including anxiety and uncertainty, and says these issues are often overlooked in national policy. The Isle of Wight is also referenced in relation to incidents where evacuated homes were entered by so-called urban explorers, prompting calls for stronger protections from the residents forced to leave their properties. Council representatives say the report reflects the lives experiences of island communities and helps bring their concerns to a national audience. The findings call for improvement, including fairer funding, better support for relocation, clearer information for property buyers, and stronger protection for vulnerable households. Councillors say the island's contribution shows that it is not only dealing with the effects of coastal erosion, but also helping to shape future policy and solutions at a national level.
This is Alison, reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio entitled £1 million Boost to Improve Support for Isle of Wight Veterans. Veterans on the Isle of Wight are set to benefit from a major new funding boost as part of a £1 million programme to improve support services across the Solent region. Veterans Outreach Support, VOS, and its partners will lead the Solent Valour Recognised Centre, VRC, a new initiative backed by the government and designed to make it easier for veterans and their families to access help. The Isle of Wight is one of several local authorities involved in the scheme, alongside Isle of Wight Council and the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust, helping to deliver joined-up support across health, housing, employment and well-being. The programme aims to build on existing services already available to the island's veteran community, ensuring people can access the right help without barriers, a so-called no wrong door approach. Across the Solent, there are more than 59,000 veterans, with the island playing a key role in supporting former armed forces personnel and their families. Over the next 3 years, the scheme will focus on improving access to mental and physical health support, helping tackle homelessness, boosting employment opportunities, and reducing isolation among veterans. It will also provide tailored support for those leaving the armed forces, including help with CVs, job searches and interviews, alongside advice on housing and benefits. Veteran Outreach Support says the funding will help strengthen and expand services already supporting the island's veteran community, building on years of work across the region. The organisation says the goal is to ensure veterans on the Isle of Wight can access consistent, high-quality support wherever and whenever they need it.
This is Michael reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Plans approved to turn Shanklin Seafront Hotel into flats. Plans to convert a seafront hotel in Shanklin into residential apartments have been approved by the Isle of Wight Council. County Hall has given the green light for the Esplanade Hotel, 32 Esplanade, described as being in very poor state of repair, to be transformed into 6 two-bedroom flats. The decision comes with a number of conditions, including requirements relating to planning policy, protection of local amenity and privacy, waste storage, and the builder's location within the Shanklin Conservation Area. The proposal attracted both support and opposition from the community. 4 objections were submitted, raising concerns about the potential loss of tourist accommodation, the impact on the local visitor economy, and fears the development could set a precedent for other seafront hotels to be converted. One resident, Karen McDowell, said new apartments on the Esplanade would likely be out of reach for many islanders and could reduce footfall for seafront businesses that rely on tourism. She warned that nearby areas show how a lack of visitors can impact local economies. However, the plans were also backed by supporters, including Shanklin Town Council. Those in favour argued the building has stood empty for years and is no longer viable as a hotel, with concerns it could continue to deteriorate if left unchanged. Another resident, Sandy Nordbruch, told the council it would be better to allow redevelopment rather than see the property fall further into disrepair, adding that a mix of residential and holiday accommodation has worked successfully in other coastal towns. A full decision report for the application has not yet been published by the council.
This is Petrina reading from the Island Echo. Fully electric ferry plan shelved, but Whitelink eyes new £45 million hybrid ferry. Whitelink looks set forward to order a new £45 million hybrid ferry for its Fishbourne to Portsmouth route within the next 12 months, moving away from earlier ambitions to introduce a fully electric vessel. The Cross-Solent operator previously announced plans in 2021 to introduce a fully electric ferry on the busy route, but those proposals have now been reconsidered. Ferry boss Katie Taylor has confirmed that a lack of grid capacity means that a fully electric ferry is not currently viable, especially within the required time frame. The time pressure comes as St Faith, which is around 36 years old, is now beyond the typical lifespan for a car ferry, making replacement increasingly necessary. Speaking to Island Echo last week, Katie Taylor said, "One of the things we were waiting on was to see whether we could go all electric, but essentially we have ruled that out for now because there isn't sufficient grid capacity. That's not expected to be resolved until around 2037, and that's a long time away when we have a ship that needs replacing much sooner than that." The plan has always been to replace her St Faith, but that decision has been delayed by factors including COVID and the wider economic situation. A new ship costs in the region of £45 million, so it's about making sure we can afford it, that we need it, and that it's the right investment for the future.
This is the second part of the Talking News, read today by me, Morris, and
Ursula.
praise given to son who fought to revive mum after collapsing. More than 40 months after a mother died, an emotional inquest heard how her son fought desperately to save her life with CPR after she collapsed at home. It was an act the Isle of Wight coroner praised as the only reason the woman survived to reach hospital. Jennifer Jane Radford of Carlton Road, Rye, died on November the 6th, 2022, yet her full inquest was not heard until March the 18th. No explanation was given for the delay. Her son Mark Radford, a serving police officer, and her 92-year-old mother were among family members present as Coroner Caroline Sunneray opened the hearing by addressing the moments of November the 5th, 2022. Miss Radford collapsed suddenly at home and her son began CPR, continuing until paramedics arrived. The force of the compressions caused rib fractures, but his quick-thinking actions revived her and gave her a chance of survival. Mrs. Summeray told him directly, "You must not blame yourself, and without you, your mum would have died there and then. You did a brilliant job." Miss Radford, 65, was taken to St Mary's Hospital with a suspected pulmonary embolism and given clot-busting medication, but she deteriorated and died at midnight. The inquest traced the series of medical complications that preceded her collapse, beginning with long-standing sinus problems. Diagnosed with chronic rhinosinusitis, she underwent elective functional endoscopic sinus surgery at Southampton General in August 2022. ENT surgeon Dr. Razvan Tasker unintentionally made a little nick in the membrane protecting the brain. She immediately repaired the tiny tear using a nasal tissue graft and stents. Miss Radford was discharged the following day, but 6 days later she was taken to St Mary's with severe facial pain and vomiting, which prompted her transfer back to Southampton. Neurosurgeons carried out a successful craniotomy to drain a suspected brain abscess on August the 28th. She returned home in mid-September, but continued to feel unwell. On September the 30th, she reported calf pain to her GP. 2 ultrasound scans showed no deep vein thrombosis. She contacted 111 on October the 18th, complaining of shortness of breath. Miss Radford was seen by a GP at Tower House Surgery in Ryde, complaining of breathing difficulties on November the 4th. Her collapse followed the next day. Her GP, Dr. Michelle Legg, told the hearing there were no blindingly obvious red flags that she was in immediate risk of collapse. Clearly, she did not have a massive pulmonary embolism, but she came into the surgery. You collapse with that, you usually have a cardiac arrest, and that wasn't evidence, Dr. Legg added. A post-mortem found Miss Radford suffered an intra-abdominal hemorrhage due to a ruptured liver hematoma, possibly linked to CPR-related rib fractures, with a pulmonary thrombolism also contributing. Returning a narrative conclusion, Mrs. Summeray said the death followed a complex series of complications after sinus surgery, and it would not be fair to record it as natural causes.
Hundreds of fly tips, but only 4 fines issued. The Isle of Wight Council has issued 4 fixed penalty notices for fly tipping in the last year, despite hundreds of incidents. The council said it recorded 746 incidents of fly tipping between April the 20th, 25 and March 2026, and actively investigated all reported fly tipping incidents. In October, the council launched Operation Clean and Safe, and a proactive enforcement initiative targeting environmental offences, including fly tipping. A spokesperson said during the first 6 months of the operation, the council issued 4 FPNs for fly tipping and also pursues legal action where penalties may not provide sufficient deterrence. No FPNs were issued in the months prior to the launch. Anna Hardy of Carter Avenue of Shanklin contacted the county press to complain about fly tipping in action on her road after a huge pile of rubbish was left there for 3 weeks. She criticised the council and Southern Housing after the collection of litter was left on the bank outside St. Joseph flat. Anna said the litter was left by a person who moved out of the flats. She contacted the Isle of Wight Council Roads and Southern Housing, but none claimed responsibility, she said. She said the waste was beginning to attract rodents. Anna demanded to know who was responsible and rang the council, who told her the waste was on private land and it could not intervene, she said. She said different authorities sent her round in circles and passing the buck, leading her to contact the county press and Isle of Wight East MP Joe Robertson. She said, "It seems that fly tipping in my area is acceptable. Nothing at all has happened. So us residents have a lovely view of other people's rubbish. Nationally, there is a lot going on regarding fly tipping, but this is the island exempt." Oh, is this the island exempt? After the county press started making press inquiries, the rubbish was taken away on Wednesday. Southern Housing said, "This land doesn't belong to Southern Housing, so removing these items wouldn't fall under our responsibility. We were unaware of this incident or where the items came from." Anna said, "It bothers me as a responsible citizen that people can do that and just get away with it. The worst thing is people not taking responsibility. There's no excuse for it." Mr. Robertson's office received clarity from the council, which stated that it was initially believed the fly tipping land was not an Island Roads network, which is why it was not removed. It added, "However, upon closer inspection of our records, there is a discrepancy, and the grass vert should have been included on Island Roads network. The council organised for the clean-up and apologised for the delay and confusion."
Brewery's ale being served at House of Commons. A taste of the Isle of Wight is now being enjoyed in the corridors of power. Goddard's Brewery's Ale of Wight is now being served at the House of Commons Strangers Bar, following an intervention from Isle of Wight West MP Richard Quigley. Mr. Quigley said, "As the island's oldest brewery, Goddard's holds a special place in our culture and community. Bringing Ale of Wight into Westminster felt like the least I could do to showcase the fantastic talent we have back home. This marks another success for the Isle of Wight drinks industry, with Isle of Wight gin and Mermaid gin already featured at the bar since December 2025. Mr. Quigley said, "I'm always keen to champion the brilliance of Isle of Wight businesses. Across all parties, colleagues are impressed by the quality of what our small island produces." Mr. Quigley has also been working to secure business rate support for the pubs on the island. Bob Simpson, Isle of Wight General Manager at Powder Monkey, which includes Goddard's Brewery, said, "It was fantastic to visit Parliament and see Ale of Wight on display in Strangers. We're incredibly proud to have this celebration of the island showcased here, and we're grateful to Richard for making it possible."
Jobs fair to spotlight training. A jobs fair designed to boost employment and training opportunities is taking place in Sandown next month, April. Hosted by Joe Robertson, MP for the Isle of Wight East and the East Wight Jobs Training and Careers Fair, will be held at the Broadway Centre, with doors open to the public from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Friday, April the 17th. The event will bring together employers and education providers from across the region, offering roles, apprenticeships and training opportunities. Mr. Robertson said, "Creating more opportunities for islanders is one of my top priorities as the MP for the Isle of Wight East. This fair is about helping people of all ages find out what local opportunities are out there, whether that is a first job, an apprenticeship, a training course, or a completely new direction." Guests will have the chance to speak directly with employers and gain guidance on skills and training opportunities. Organisations confirmed for the event include Southern Water, Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary, HTP Apprenticeship College and Visit Isle of Wight. The fair is open to people of all ages and backgrounds, from school leavers exploring their futures to adults considering a career change or returning to work. For more information, contact Mr. Robertson at joerobertsonmp.parliament.uk.
Pub pays tribute to beloved Mr. Mouse. Pub staff have paid tribute to a beloved employee of almost 5 decades who has died unexpectedly. Tony Russell, known by some as Mr. Mouse, a stalwart at the White Mouse Inn, has died aged 61. A familiar face to most patrons at the Chale venue, he had worked at the White Mouse Inn for a staggering 48 years. "We're all reeling here following the news of Tony's unexpected death," said Andy and Cheryl Greenwood for the pub. "We, like many, have never experienced the White Mouse without him and as the welcoming, smiley face of the business. He oversaw many changes at the pub since joining as a teenager in 1978 and has been there forever constant. His popularity made him a true legend and he will be missed immeasurably by customers and colleagues alike. Our thoughts are with his family and friends at this sad time."
County Press reporter wins prestigious award. County Press reporter Zach Saunders has won a prestigious NCTJ award. Zach, who was named as one of the 3 national finalists in the News Journalism of the Year category, took home the crown on Tuesday after a ceremony at the Brighton Dome. The awards, run by the National Council for the Training of Journalists, recognise the best news reporting and public interest journalism from across the UK. The News Journalism of the Year award is given to reporters who have shown excellence in breaking news, original reporting and stories that have a positive impact on the public. On winning his award, Zach said, "It is an incredible honour. I'm thrilled to have been recognised nationally by the NCTJ for my work at the County Press. This award is a testament to the importance of local journalism and the trust islanders place in us when we hold institutions to account. I'm excited to keep developing as a journalist and to keep telling important island stories." Reacting to the news, County Press editor Laurie Little said, "We're incredibly proud of Zach. He has produced consistently high-quality stories while undertaking his NCTJ qualifications. It is brilliant to see his dedication, enthusiasm, excellence and hard work recognised nationally with this prestigious award. It is such an honour for Zach and also for the County Press. Well done, Zach." Zach, who went to school at St Thomas's of Canterbury and Christ the King College in Carisbrooke, joined the County Press in September 2021, initially as an apprentice. He has since delivered a series of front-page exclusives focusing on issues that matter most to islanders. The County Press is the biggest-selling local newspaper in the country and the island's biggest news website. The website, countypressco.uk, gets more than 3 million page views per month. Have you got a story for the county press? Contact the team in Newport via email at editor@isleofwightcp.co.uk or call 01983 259003.
Passengers praise staff in service awards. Passengers have praised ferry staff for their care and professionalism in the latest round of Red Funnel's First Class Service Awards. The 2025 awards, which celebrate team members who go above and beyond, saw 844 nominations, with more than 40% coming directly from customers. Fran Collins, Chief Executive of Red Funnel, said, "Behind every smooth crossing is a team of unsung heroes, going the extra mile and delivering exceptional service with a smile, whatever the day brings." These awards are special because the nominations come from those who feel the benefits of that dedication, our customers and their colleagues. A total of 229 team members were recognised for their service. Among those highlighted were Sarah and Michael, who were praised for their professionalism during a medical emergency on board, staying with the customer until paramedics arrived. Tina and Nathan received thanks for making passengers and their pets feel welcome throughout the journey. One customer described crew member Rob as a credit to Red Funnel after he assisted a passenger with mobility issues.
Man is found dead at hotel. The death of a man at a hotel in Yarmouth is being treated as unexpected. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary was called to the George Hotel, Key Street, at 7:35 a.m. last Saturday, March the 21st. The body of a man in his 60s was found at the hotel. Police said the death is being treated as unexpected. However, it is not thought to be suspicious at this time, officers said. A file is being prepared for the coroner.
Council may forcibly buy derelict sites. Sandown Town Council will look into the use of compulsory purchase orders as a long-term solution to dereliction and vacant land problems. Council has voted to dedicate office resources to researching and exploring the policy at a meeting on Monday, with devolution expected to bring enhanced regeneration and land assembly powers. CPOs allowing public bodies to acquire land compulsory and when used properly can contribute towards effective and efficient urban and rural regeneration, essential infrastructure, community revitalisation and business promotion according to the government. Prior to the vote, Mayor Alex Lightfoot told Sandown Town Council, "I am seeking approval from the Council for us to properly get into looking at CPO as a long-term solution to some of our more problematic sites. With a view to the fact that with devolution coming and the increased CPO powers from the mayoral authority and potential upcoming changes to planning legislation that may affect the criteria of CPOs, that we start to do some of the legwork in preparation for money being available." Councillor Ian Boyd, a Sandown North representative, said, "I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. It sends an important signal, a statement of intent. The role of the mayoral authority is going to be super important, and it'll be the places that have flagged their intention to take CPO seriously that will be first in the queue." Local county and town councillor Debbie Andre said, "In terms of Sandown, this is the one thing that will really make a difference. We're actively doing something that the community are asking us for." Another Sandown North Town councillor, Joan Solomon, said, "I'm in full agreement. We have to have our foot in the door, but I worked it out as being a 4.5 to 5 year programme once you get going, and you can only do CPO as a last resort. You have to go through County Council."
Exciting plans from restaurant's owner. A dog-friendly zone, outdoor children's play area and a secret coastal path are among the plans for a historic hotel and restaurant as new owner takes the helm. Ian Paxton, 46, has unveiled his vision for Apley Manor, having bought the business from owners of 3 decades, Paul and Alison Brown. Already boasting a loyal customer base, Ian sees no need to fix what isn't broken. but he said there will be a few tweaks, including tapping into the building's Victorian heritage. In the hotel, a King Charles suite with a genuine 17th century bed has already been created, and other rooms are also being restored to give it a mini Osborne House feel. Ian, who owns Mainland-based Anchor Pipework, got into the hospitality industry during COVID and already runs 2 successful pubs called the Cocky Anchor in Romsey and Worcester. With fond memories of visiting his grandparents in Shanklin, and as a regular visitor to the island, Ian jumped at the chance of taking on the manor. He sees it as an ideal venue for couples to get married, and an application for a wedding license is underway. Ian wants to install a 120-seater marquee outside and replace a summer house with a folly where people can say their vows. The tower, which boasts panoramic views of the Solent, is also being revamped as a somewhere for newlyweds to pose for photographs. It is hoped the car park will be redone and there will be outdoor cinema nights. A secret coastal path is also being opened at the back of the site, allowing walkers to go to and from Apley and the seafront via the manor. Inside, a dog-friendly area is being introduced in the restaurant, and there will be new furniture. Opening hours are also being extended and breakfast reintroduced, but there will no drastic menu changes. The manor will also boast its own range of salt and pepper, and a mini shop will be opened in the foyer. Ian is looking at installing a traditional play area outside, either this season or next. All current staff will be kept on. The building, which dates back to the 1850s and was originally built for wine merchant Robert Yelf, was also a private school for boys. It was transformed into Apley Manor 31 years ago by Paul's late father and taken on by Paul. Paul, who is staying on as operational director, said, "There are some wonderful ideas and exciting times for the staff. We are very excited to see how it's going to progress. It will be a business as usual for Apley Manor while works continue."
Talks underway over ice rink's future. Discussions are underway over the potential sale of the island's derelict ice rink a decade on from its closure. Ryde Arena, which shut its doors in 2016, is for sale and has been the subject of serious interest from at least 2 consortiums, the county press understands. Earlier this month, a meeting of Ryde Neighbourhood Board, the RNB, an independent partnership formed as part of the government's plan for neighbourhoods with power to grant money to projects, agreed to commission relevant surveys and valuations on the building. The meeting heard that there is a will of the owners to dispose of the building as soon as possible. Ryde Arena's freehold is owned by the council, but since 2014 the lease has been in the hands of AEW. AEW refused to comment when contacted by the county press. Alex Minns, the Isle of Wight Council Service Director for Culture, Regeneration and Economy, said he believed there was interest from the private sector and that a purchaser may be forthcoming. A spokesperson for the council told the county press the Isle of Wight Council is not involved in the disposal of this property. However, following an ongoing marketing exercise, we understand that the owners of the ice rink are in discussions with a potential buyer. The council has previously tried to take AEW to court to try to get the building back, but the arbitration proceedings came to an end in 2021 with no agreement reached. Arguing that the building should be used for wider public benefit, Isle of Wight East MP Joe Robertson said, "There are Isle of Wight Council conditions on this site. I will do everything I can to ensure that the council does not alter, adjust or loosen any conditions to benefit a private owner unless there is a direct benefit to the people of Ryde and the next generation." He added that RNB is ready to support the future of building and encouraged any prospective buyer to engage. In 2024, the Isle of Wight Distillery announced plans to turn the building into an attraction, but later pulled out amid claims it had been poorly maintained.
Man seen gesturing to children. Police are appealing for witnesses following reports of a suspicious man in a balaclava gesturing towards school children in Carisbrooke. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary was alerted at around 2:25 p.m. on Friday, March the 13th, to a suspicious incident on Wellington Road earlier in the day. It was reported to police that a man wearing a balaclava was seen making gestures towards a group of secondary school children from the opposite side of the road between 8:25 a.m. and 8:45 a.m. Nobody was hurt in the incident, police have confirmed. Inquiries are ongoing, and the force would like to hear from anyone who may have seen anything suspicious, including a man seen in the area at the time of the incident. He's described as 25 to 35, between 6 foot and 6 foot 2 inches tall, and with an athletic build. He has brown short hair and was wearing a balaclava, black gloves, full dark blue tracksuit, and a black rucksack. If you were in the area at the time, recognize this description, or have information you believe would support police inquiries, then you should call 101 and quote 44260 121186. Additionally, police would like to hear from you if you have information or footage that may assist their inquiries.
Major boost for care as home gets £2.5 million revamp. A long-awaited lift for the Isle of Wight care sector is just days away as a care home prepares to open after a £2.5 million revamp pending final approval from the Care Quality Commission, the CQC. The arrival of Lakeview Care Home is being hailed as a fresh start for a site once associated with controversy and a significant investment in the island's ageing population. Family-run provider English Oak Care Homes is gearing up to unveil the fully refurbished home early next month on the former Blackwater Mill site in Blackwater near Newport. The firm, which operates 4 other homes in Hampshire, acquired the property last year and has since carried out an extensive overhaul to bring the former Blackwater Mill site up to modern standards. The £2.5 million investment represents a major boost for the local care economy, creating new jobs and helping increase modern care capacity on the island. Blackwater Mill's closure followed a series of damning CQC inspections which rated the home inadequate and exposed serious failings in care between November 24 and January last year. Its registration was effectively cancelled in March 24, following a damning CQC report leaving a prominent gap in local provision. Now, English Oak says its fresh start for the site will provide gold standard care and aim to help restore confidence and capacity within the island's care landscape. We are pleased to confirm that construction is progressing well at the new Lakeview Care Home development, and the project remains on track to deliver a modern, high-quality care home tailored to the needs of local residents, the spokesperson said. Once complete, the home will offer 54 bedrooms for up to 55 residents, specialising in residential, dementia and respite care. Its design has been centred around warmth, comfort and person-centred support, with spacious lounges, quiet rooms, activity spaces and welcoming dining areas. Landscape gardens and accessible outdoor areas will also give residents safe, relaxing spaces to enjoy. English Oak says most of its initial staff team has already recruited and is undergoing training under a new manager, ensuring the home is ready to deliver high-quality care from day one. CEO Liam Geach said the opening marks an important opportunity to provide high-quality care close to home for local families, while Chair Stephen Geach added the development reflects everything we have learned about creating safe, comfortable and engaging environments.
Thousands without water after pipe bursts. Schools were closed and thousands of people were left without water yesterday after a burst main caused a major outage. A strategic trunk main ruptured in a field off Commonwood Lane near Bembridge Airport, with water flooding the nearby road. Residents in Ryde, St Helens, Seaview, Shanklin, Bembridge and Sandown were among those affected. Homes and businesses were either left with low pressure or no water at all, as Southern Water engineers worked to fix the burst. The lack of water led to closure of 3 schools in the area, including primary schools in Bembridge, Nettleston and St Helens. Other schools, including Lift, Ryde and Oakfield Primary School, were unaffected. The outage prompted shoppers to flock to Tesco Extra to buy bottled water, with aisles laid bare. In a statement at the time, a Southern Water spokesperson said, "We're sorry that customers at the Isle of Wight, including in Ryde, St Helens, Seaview, Shanklin, Bembridge and Sandown, are currently experiencing either no water or low pressure. This is due to a burst on a water main near Bembridge Airport." The utility firm said customers started to see water returning yesterday morning, and with pressure improving gradually. When supply does return, bubbles and some temporary discoloration are normal, a spokesperson added.
Petition for intervention on ferry fares. A petition demanding the government intervene to secure affordable and capped ferry fares for islanders has been signed by over 2,700 people. Retiree Mike Williams, 67, and self-employed learning consultant Joe Williams, 60, initiated the Change.org appeal, which calls for a state underwritten fare model in protest at what campaigners describe as the island tax. The Cowes residents said ferry fares represent an unavoidable and significant additional cost for residents accessing jobs, healthcare and family, not faced by mainland communities. Ferry company Whitelink, in response, said it understands how important affordable and reliable cross-Solent travel is for those living on the Isle of Wight, and told the Local Democracy Reporting Service, the LDRS, it has offered Mr Williams a meeting with its CEO to discuss his feedback. Mr Williams, who has lived on the island for 23 years, said there was real hope in 2024 when regulating ferry companies was being considered. That option was later abandoned, while new pressures could push fares even higher. Governments of all colours have struggled to resolve the Isle of Wight's structural transport disadvantage. Our ferry services are a lifeline, not a luxury. We are not asking for handouts. We are proposing a practical and financially credible approach that uses government backing to help deliver affordable fares for island residents. He said it is a time for government to work with industry to secure a sustainable solution. The petition's market-based intervention involves government negotiating with ferry operators to ring-fence dedicated capacity for residents annually. Tickets would be sold directly by the companies to islanders at an agreed, capped and affordable price, with government guaranteeing to cover the cost of any unpurchased ring-fenced capacity at the end of each year. A Whitelink spokesperson said Whitelink understands how important affordable and reliable cross-Solent travel is. We recently announced 868 extra sailings between Lymington and Yarmouth, and we operate the highest number of sailings of all cross-Solent operators. 92% of journeys made by islanders are at a discounted or fixed rate. We offer a range of concessions for resident travel, including multi-link passes, Solent Saver booklets, and 50% off fares for NHS patients, capped at £35 per leg, when travelling for mainland healthcare appointments. We work close with customer groups and, throughout constructive engagement with the Solent Transport User Group and our Meet the Team events, have introduced improvements for residents. Red Funnel has also been asked for comment.
Cars collide. 3 people were treated by ambulance crews after a crash at a Sainsbury's petrol station on Tuesday. Firefighters from Newport were called to the service station on Honeycross Way at 12:30 p.m. after a crash involving 2 vehicles. 3 casualties were assessed at the scene, a spokesperson said, and were handed over to ambulance crews for further treatment. Firefighters then returned to station at 1:10 p.m.
And now we're moving on to white memories and nostalgia. Date stones spotted on buildings around the Isle of Wight, writes Sarah Burdett. Has anybody researched all the date stones that can be seen on the Isle of Wight? It would make a fascinating study. Perhaps one of the largest can be seen in East Cowes. When the Columbine shed was erected, in which to build flying boats in the 1930s, it was built with some Art Deco style embellishments. It was opened in 1935, and the plane of that period built by Saunders Roe was the London. Several of those were supplied to the Royal Air Force. The style of the numbers on the date stone is true to the period. Britain was trying to come out of recession and companies endeavoured to provide work. Hopefully soup kitchens set up during the Depression only a couple of years earlier to provide families with their main meal of the day could be closed. Compare the size of these numbers with another industrial building, Westminster Mill in Newport. Here the numbers on the date stone look old to us, a type of font that was used in 1773. Westminster Mill utilised the Lukeley Brook to grind grain for flour. The building was heightened in 1894 and the white painted lucum was added then. The lucum is the wooden dormer cover over the sack hoist still visible today next to the date stone. A much simpler date stone, or rather brick, was the date carved into the brick above the doorway at Daffodil Farm in Alverstone. The initials of the owner were also carved in the brick, which was moved when the building was demolished. Merry Gardens at Lake is even older. It has the date stone 1684 set in the brickwork and initials of the owner at that time. The old font is most noticeable. People were proud of their work and of their achievements in being able to build such a building. Many churches and public buildings have date stones, sometimes laid by prominent people.
Prince Albert laid the foundation stone for the Minster Church of St. Thomas in Newport. Both he and Queen Victoria are named on the stone they laid when St. Mildred Church was being upgraded at Whippingham. As Princess Victoria, she had laid the foundation stone for St. James Church in East Cowes. Sadly, carelessly, this was lost when the church was being extended later in her reign. Buildings such as town halls and libraries often have longer dedication on their foundation stone. Amy White, wife of the shipbuilder J.S. White, raised the money for the town hall in East Cowes. Sandown Library was funded by Andrew Carnegie in 1905 on land given by Alexander Keller. Carnegie was a rich Scottish-American industrialist who died in 1919. He is best known for his gifts of free public library buildings, and Sandown is just one of many. Perhaps every local heritage group could undertake a detailed study of the old, and also the new, date stones in their area. The stones show the pride of the owners and reveal the history of the building. They should be recorded before they're lost.
And now, in my view, giving up a few hours can be so rewarding, writes Laurie Little, the CP editor. Not much would happen on the Isle of Wight without the thousands of people who step up to volunteer their time for various charities, organisations and events. From PTAs organising school fairs to those helping out at all the various sporting groups, and from people putting in a stint at charity shops to those marshalling at events, where would we be without them? The island would grind to a halt for sure. A couple of years ago, the Isle of Wight Music, Dance and Drama Festival feared it would have to fold, as they didn't have enough interested people to help run it. It had been going strong for over 90 years, allowing adults and children to showcase their talents in a range of fields including singing, acting, reciting and dancing. Council red tape hadn't helped the festival in recent years either, as it made it harder for children to take time out of school to take part, and timetables were hastily rearranged to make the most of evenings and weekends. All in all, the festival was struggling. The county press picked up the stories and put out an appeal for volunteers, and it worked. People came forward to help and were happy to do so. Many simply hadn't realised such help was needed. I was one of those who offered to do a couple of shifts. My connection to the festival goes back 24 years now to 2002, when as a reporter I started covering the festival and got to know quite a few people involved. I have championed it ever since, and we run several pages of coverage each year to showcase the participants. This year I turned up to volunteer again as a marshal on Friday afternoon, a delightfully easy job which allowed me to watch the little dancers on stage while doing my duty as guardian of the door curtain and keeper of the silence in the auditorium. My more challenging shift came on Saturday after another volunteer persuaded me to be a writer for the adjudicator. They thought that as I am a writer professionally, I would be the perfect candidate for this job. But I had my doubts. In my career, I use a lot of shorthand, all county press journalists trained to 100 words per minute, and this means my longhand, normal writing can sometimes go a bit illegible and muddled. Would I be able to write perfect longhand? I duly took my seat next to dance adjudicator Karen Blackburn and had a quick lesson in what to do.
Karen would watch the dancers and, without taking her eyes off them, tell me what to write for her on their feedback form. Luckily for me, Karen spoke incredibly clearly and deliberately slowly to allow this rookie to keep up the pace. A few words threw me, not coming from a dance background. Tableau. I suddenly panicked in the heat of the moment and wondered if it should have an X on the end. Singular, so it didn't. Jinner. What? I had never heard of this term, let alone know how to spell it. It turns out it is a dance medium named after Ruby Jinner, who created it. Comet. Didn't know that one either, and I'm still none the wiser, but the adjudicator kindly spelled it out for me. It goes to show that you can definitely learn something new every day, and my experience proved to me that volunteering can be rewarding in so many different ways. I enjoyed it, learned something, met some lovely people, helped fill a gap in the rota, and offered to go back again next year. It's not a huge commitment, but hopefully will help. I urge others to consider pledging their time to volunteer somewhere for a few hours. Find something that suits your interest or cause you would love to support. And you don't want to wait until retirement. There are plenty of opportunities that busy working people can fit in, even if it's just once a year, like the Isle of Wight MDDF was for me. How about helping out at Ventnor Fringe or Walk the Wight? For younger people looking to build their CV, it's the perfect chance to get some experience and meet people. I just hope the dancers were able to read my writing okay.
And this is what's on. Official start of summer. Islands are being reminded to put their clocks forward by 1 hour this Sunday, March the 29th, as British summertime officially begins. The change takes place at 1 a.m. when the clocks jump ahead to 2 a.m, giving us lighter evenings but a slightly darker start to the mornings for a while. The shift to British summertime is now a familiar ritual, but its origins are surprisingly practical. The idea was first championed in the early 20th century by William Willett, a builder from Kent, who was frustrated by how much daylight was wasted while people were still asleep. He argued that moving the clocks forward would make better use of natural light, encouraging outdoor activity and saving energy. Although Willett campaigned tirelessly, he didn't live to see his proposal adopted. It was the First World War that finally pushed the government to act. In 1916, Britain introduced daylight saving time to reduce the need for artificial lighting and conserve fuel. The change proved useful enough that it became a regular part of British life, with the modern system of putting clocks forward in spring and back in autumn setting into place over the decades. So before you head to bed on Saturday night, don't forget to nudge the clocks forward 1 hour.
The pitfalls of finding a trader online. James Potter, Isle of Wight Trading Standards. As the Trading Standards Manager for the Isle of Wight Council, I'm only too familiar with the issues surrounding engaging a reliable and professional tradesperson. We receive complaints weekly from consumers who've had a problem either with rogue traders, those who knock at the door offering to carry out work, or with businesses who don't carry out a job with reasonable care and skill, or adhere to consumer protection legislation. Most of these days we'll find a trader by going online. This might be through a search engine or a social media site. However, traders will also still advertise in local magazines and the county press. Always make sure that you carry out some research, seeking guidance and pre-shopping advice before engaging a trader for home improvement work. This might include references, reviews, or recommendations from friends and family. If a trader claims to be a member of a professional body or a trade association, check this yourself. Don't believe it to be true. You could ask to see example of other work the trader has carried out in the area. Always obtain more than one quote. This will give you a good picture of what price seems acceptable. Time frames are something else to consider. One trader may be cheaper, but you may have to wait longer, and vice versa. So consider how important getting the job done is to you. We would also recommend arranging a payment schedule with your trader, as you will then know how much you're going to pay through the contract. And when. Always make sure that you obtain the trader's full name and address, as you will need this information if anything goes wrong, and you need to pursue further action. One solution is to look for a trader on our Isle of Wight Council Trader Approval Scheme. Traders on the scheme have been through a comprehensive vetting process by Trading Standards and adhere to a code of conduct. If there are problems with a trader on the scheme, Trading Standards can mediate between the two parties to try and reach a successful outcome. The scheme is only for island businesses, so you know you will be supporting local trade by using one of these businesses, and covers a wide variety of trades including home exteriors, interiors, retail, financial services, and vehicle sales and servicing. If you are a reliable, well-respected trader who delivers a high-quality service on the island, you could consider joining the scheme. Go to About the Trader Approval Scheme, Isle of Wight, or search Isle of Wight Council Trader Approval Scheme for more information and application details.
On Thursday the 2nd of April at 7 p.m. at the Holy Trinity Church in Cowes, the West Wight Choir will sing Music for Easter, including Stainer's The Crucifixion. Guest organist is James Langford. Also at Leisure Medina Theatre, on Saturday the 4th of April, with shows at 1:30 and 4 p.m, there's a show called Dino Tales. Mercury, the Ultimate Queen Tribute, is on Friday the 10th of April. The Dazzling Diamonds appear on Saturday the 11th of April. Endless Love on Friday the 17th of April. Oh What a Night on Saturday the 18th of April at 7:30. Go Your Own Way on Friday the 24th of April at 7:30. Cassidy Jansen sings Carole King on Saturday the 25th of April at 7:30. And finally, Boy Band in the Buff, starring Gareth Gates, on Friday the 1st of May, also at 7:30.
Major celebration of creativity and culture planned. A major celebration of culture and creativity is coming to the Isle of Wight. Can you hear us? A 6 weeks programme funded by Arts Council England through their Place Partnership Fund will begin on September the 11th and run until October the 24th. The festival will showcase and amplify the Isle of Wight's artistic spirit through a mixture of film, craft, public art, music, theatre and community events. Gavin Stride, Director of Creative Island, said, "This is an opportunity to celebrate all that the island is, to delight in all the ways that the people of the island express who they are, and to recognise the talent and energy of people in every part of our communities." Highlights will include Shademaker's Ship of Hope, Promenade Carnival and Ride, the Touring Ventnor Exchange Arena, bringing circus, theatre and youth-led festivals to Sandown and Newport, and Somewhere, Survival Society, a village hall event blending performance, storytelling and a communal meal. The programme involves 17 partner organisations. It also includes a newly announced cultural leadership programme with 12 participants set to receive targeted support to help shape the Isle of Wight's cultural future. A microgrant scheme, delivered in partnership with Creative Lives, is funding 26 artistic activities in the lead-up to and during the main event. Young people will be at the forefront of the celebration, with dedicated opportunities for participation and skills development. An island-wide school scheme is also planned, delivered through the Isle of Wight Cultural Education Partnership and Artsworks Listen Up programme. A music hub will deliver the Songs of Place project, turning young people's experience of island life into new compositions. Nia Collins, Strategic Planning and Programme Manager at Southampton and Isle of Wight Hub, said, "Music has a unique way of capturing the spirit of a place and the stories of the people who live there." The scheme has received £402,000 from the Arts Council, England's Place Partnership Fund. Phil Gibby, Area Director at Arts Council England South West, said, "It's powerful to see artists, schools and communities come together around a shared love of their home."
And now in letters, I have a letter headlining "Thanks for saving my wife's life," writes Geoffrey Simmons of Bryston. The state of the NHS? In my experience, in an hour of need, the NHS provided a fantastic service, starting with 2 wonderful paramedics. Without their prompt and professional attention, my dear wife would no longer be alive. This started about 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning of March the 17th, when she collapsed in the bathroom. It was a heart attack, and with help of further paramedics and NHS staff, she was helicoptered over to the Queen Alexandra Hospital in Portsmouth. Huge thanks to the paramedics, the HM Bembridge Coast Guard rescue team, and no doubt numerous others who helped towards the emergency treatment. My wife was operated on, and later the surgeon told her it was life or death, a close call. She has received a superb level of care at the hospital. The team at Bryston Surgery also provided a great service. I would like to thank all involved for saving my wife's life.
Shanklin Theatre, Isle of Wight, all during April, Thursday the 2nd, Friday the 3rd, Saturday the 4th, Sunday the 5th, Saturday the 11th, Saturday the 18th, Wednesday the 22nd, and Thursday the 23rd. Various things. So if you want to ring the box office, 01983 86 8000. Sorry, 8000. The next item is The Crucifixion by John Stainer at St. John's Church. Choir and guests sing on Good Friday at 7 p.m. on April the 3rd. As I say, at St. John's Church in Newport. And the last one is the Classic Boat Museum. The Classic Boat Museum will launch its 2026 season with an Easter egg extravaganza on Good Friday, April the 3rd, Easter Saturday, April the 4th, and Easter Monday, April the 6th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at its Medina Road premises. Children can follow the lifeboat trail and collect clues to win an Easter egg, while adults can explore the museum's exhibits and stories. A maritime book sale will run throughout the weekend. Admission is free, with donations welcome.
And continuing with letters, flags, fascism and public anger. Dear Editor, Ireland Soapbox contributor Robert Jones offered the quote, "Fascists have no right to wrap themselves in the flag." On that we can all agree. But the problem with liberal soundbite screeching is what Don Quixote calls tilting at windmills. As history shows, actual fascists shoot or imprison their opponents, abolish every aspect of free society, and try to exterminate groups they find a bit iffy. Nobody on the right in the UK is calling for anything even remotely like that. What Rupert Lowe, and to an increasingly lesser extent Nigel Farage, are doing is articulating the anger felt by millions of ordinary Brits, many of them descended from legal immigrants of various colours and creeds. They've all had enough of ruinous politics and busted justice, not to mention hundreds of MPs who continue to ignore many thousands of abused children, allegedly as the price for votes. Rejecting this evil is not fascism, Mr. Jones, it's a matter of survival.
Looking back and looking forward. Dear Editor, it was good to read the letters from Peter Coleman and Robert Jones, Soapbox, March the 13th and the 20th. I'm old enough to remember the late Queen Elizabeth's Silver Jubilee celebration of 1977. There was a Spithead review of the Navy's ships, and even then people mentioned how small the Navy had become. All our services have been reduced over many years. It is so easy to complain about it now. Will the latest conflict in the Middle East bring peace to the area? I thought the USA were talking to Iran about a month ago. As the saying goes, jaw is better than war. With regards to the electric buses, bring them on. We owe future generations to cut pollutions. I look forward to travelling on them. From Peter Harris at Carisbrooke.
David McCall of Arraton writes, "Champagne wages on a lemonade budget." Dear Editor, I am writing to express my serious dissatisfaction with the financial management and priorities of the Isle of Wight Council. At a time when the Council is reportedly on the brink of issuing a Section 114 notice, effectively declaring itself financially insolvent, it is indefensible that a senior officer role is being offered at a total cost to taxpayers of up to £178,000 per year. This level of remuneration demonstrates a profound disconnect between the Council's leadership and the financial reality faced by its residents. Year after year, council tax has been increased by the maximum permitted level of 5%, compounding annually and placing an ever-growing burden on households already struggling with the cost of living. In return, residents are seeing diminishing services, with basic provisions such as waste collection reduced to once per fortnight. This represents a clear failure to deliver value for money. The decision to justify such excessive expenditure on a single post, while essential services are being reduced and residents are expected to pay more, is unacceptable. It raises serious concerns about accountability, governance, and whether those in positions of authority are exercising proper stewardship of public funds. If the Council is genuinely facing financial collapse, then it must urgently demonstrate restraint, prioritise frontline services, and ensure that every pound spent delivers tangible benefit to the community. Continuing to approve inflated senior salaries under these circumstances undermines public confidence and suggests a culture of financial mismanagement. I call on the Council to immediately review this appointment, justify its necessity in full transparency, and take decisive action to align its spending with the interests of the residents it serves. The current approach is not only unsustainable, it is unjustifiable. Then there's an editor's note that reads, the authorisation to recruit a new Chief Finance Officer was sought by the Council's CEO, Wendy Perara, and approved on Wednesday by the Cross-Party Appointments and Employment Committee.
A coastal path with a coastal gap. Dear Editor, what a pity now that the King Charles III coast path is officially open, that access is denied to a large section of the Isle of Wight coast at East Cowes because of Osborne House and Barton Manor. Osborne was gifted to the nation in 1902 and therefore belongs to the taxpayer. Why should the taxpayer of East Cowes, the wider island and holidaymakers be denied access? English Heritage, which manages the estate on behalf of the taxpayer, argues access poses a security risk to its historic collection, yet they are happy to open the house to the public for a fee which could also pose a security risk. There are many other stately homes with presumably equally valuable collections which do allow access across their land. Barton Manor is a private estate, and whilst not allowing public access to the foreshore to complete the path, is happy to have members of the public who rent holiday accommodation on the estate or hold a wedding there to use the grounds. The King Charles III coastal path is a major achievement, and as an island surrounded by the sea, residents of the Isle of Wight should not have to accept that a section of its coastline is to remain inaccessible, meaning a deviation inland along busy, totally unsuitable roads. For Maureen Mansell, Wootton Bridge.
And that brings us to the end of this week's Talking News. And so therefore it's a goodbye from me, Morris.
And Ursula.
Hello.
Hi, Erin.
Hi, Jackie.
Have you had a good week?
Yeah, I don't think I have any questions. which is
Okay.
good.
So, what have you been doing at school?
In drama, we're watching the musical Blood Brothers.
This is a big year for Erin Kirkpatrick. Erin is 14 and working her way towards a projected 8 GCSEs.
Our unit's on Blood Brothers, so Miss Cook has let us watch the musical.
Excellent. Have you read the book?
No.
An important part of her preparations is Jackie Brown, totally blind, like Erin, who is a freelance support trainer, teaching a range of skills that visually impaired students might need to thrive. We're at 5 Mile Town College, a mainstream school in County Tyrone, just one of the schools in Northern Ireland that Jackie visits. Her focus is very much on some of the increasingly complex technology which is making so much more possible for this generation. Our recent programme about government reforms in the education of children with special needs in England was full of assurances about improvements on the horizon. But we also heard fears from educationists and particularly parents about just how easy it was for children with the relatively rare disability of visual impairment to get lost when it comes to specialist provision. So what's happening here, although rare, is an encouraging sign of what can be done with the right levels of support.
So, one of the things I thought we could maybe try today is, I know how particular you are about keeping all your different subjects in folders of their own on the Braille Sense. So, if you want to, say, copy some files, but they're not in order with each other in the list, you can actually press a space bar on them to tick the ones that you want to move or copy.
Yeah.
You just do Enter with C to copy to the clipboard, and then you can go out of that folder and put them wherever you want to in another folder. So if you'd like to try that,
Yeah, okay.
but that's a really useful tip.
Module 6 folder, presentation 1 folder, 3 fair docs 521.
So I just select them?
Yeah, the way you select them is just press a space bar on them and you'll see an asterisk come up on the Braille display, and that tells you that you have selected that file. And you can do it with folders as well.
Selected 5-6, selected 7.
So can I cut them?
You can either cut them or you can copy them.
Yes, so am I right in saying cut is enter an X?
It is.
Yeah.
Cut to clipboard.
Erin, I mean, you're here in a mainstream school, and I think you've been in mainstream most of the time in your education. And I'm just interested in what the advantage of having someone like Jackie, with Jackie's skills, as part of your education.
So in a mainstream school, obviously, as opposed to a blind school for visually impaired and blind children, they don't use the same technology as blind people, so they wouldn't have the need for support, and they wouldn't work the same way we do. So it's very beneficial that Jackie comes in and gives me sessions on my Braille Sense 6 and my laptop, because there's no other way really that I could learn them, because Jackie is very knowledgeable on her technology. I take from Jackie what I know. If I just had to cope on my own without the amount of support I have, I feel like I would not be doing nearly as well in school as I have been.
So how much is this kind of technology a sort of part of what you do of your school day, and presumably also the school work you do afterwards, homework, etc.?
I'm going to compare it again to a mainstream child, a sighted child, who would use a pen and paper and obviously textbooks to write. I would use my Braille Sense 6. It would be basically my textbook and my pen rolled into one. Work is put on my Braille Sense and I read and write on it. I have it taken home with me whenever I have homework, so I can just sit and complete my homework independently without the need for a scribe as I used to in primary school.
That's it?
Have you done this one? I want to put them into completed work within the folder.
Right, so go into that,
And then just paste it.
go in there and paste
Paste
it
it.
with Enter V. There you go.
So Erin, what about downtime, leisure, hobbies? I mean, does the tech that we've been talking about, is that part of your life?
I have got another little device for Christmas. It's not the same as a Braille device. It's basically a Braille keyboard that you can connect to your iPad and phone and like control them. It's a Hable, and I have it connected to my iPad, and I would use it for a number of things with VoiceOver, which I find really useful as well.
I tell all the pupils when there's going to be an exhibition like the tech fair that has happened in Northern Ireland. I think you've been to all of them, Erin. Your mum has taken you. So Erin gets an opportunity to go round, and I think that's really important. That's the main reason for having the tech fair every year over here, because we never had one before. It gives the QTVIs, any classroom assistants, and of course the pupils and their families an opportunity to actually see what's on offer and have the suppliers come over from the mainland in England to see what there is and what the schools could maybe think about as part of their budgets going forward.
Well, just about a 25-minute drive from Erin's school is Willowbridge Special School, where we're going to meet Anya Snow. And Jackie, this is a rather different situation, isn't it? Just tell me a bit about Anya.
Yeah, Anya is completely blind, but she also has additional needs because she has autism. She is learning Braille and she is learning to type and use Microsoft applications as well.
I mean, Anya's about 17, I think, so
Yes.
This is quite late for someone to learn Braille, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but she's doing really well. She is really determined. She is able to write Braille. She is using a brilliant Braille display, and she is able to read, on a single line of Braille. She finds that easier.
And is this going to be fun for her, or will it have practical uses, do you think?
I think practical uses, because if she learns enough Braille and she practices every day, then I think she would be able to read perhaps short stories. And she certainly enjoys typing as well. So she uses JAWS on her computer, and I'm actually showing her how to send and receive emails. So that's what we've been doing recently. She's made huge strides in the time that I've been working with her, which is nearly 3 years.
Well, let's go and meet her.
The girls for Minnie, Daisy, and the boys Pluto, Mickey, and Goofy.
Oh, all right, okay. Anya has puppies. Her dog is a Cocker Spaniel.
Yes, I told Peter that.
Yeah, and have you actually stroked the puppies yet?
No, yeah, because Lady would go...
Yes, she would, because she's very protective of the puppies at this stage. And did Mum like your email that you sent last week?
Yeah, she read it and she loved it.
Did she?
Peter, I'm going to find your document and I'm going to show you what I can do.
Okay.
This is show off snow.
Search.
No, documents. So.
D-O-C-U. Docu. Enter. E. English.
Do you want to press enter to open it then?
Yes, thanks, Jackie.
Enter. Tomorrow Jackie is coming to visit me face-to-face in school. 2 special visitors are flying in from Manchester from the BBC called Beth and Peter.
See?
I am looking forward to meeting them.
Anya, that's lovely. What do you like to do at home, Anya? Do you watch TV?
I watch programs in different languages on YouTube. Peter, you'll never guess what I watch programs in. German.
Do you?
Aye.
Do you know German?
Yes. Hallo. Guten Tag.
Well done.
Very good.
Would you like to add something to this document, Anya?
Of course.
Peter and Beth have arrived.
Yeah, I'll say that. Can I do capital P?
You can.
For Peter, because it's his name.
Caps lock on. P-E. Peter and Beth have arrived. We have had a nice biscuit.
Very good.
Well done.
That is brilliant.
Jackie, are there practical things that this will help Anya do? I was wondering, for example, about, getting to various platforms online, or maybe it's something else that this
Yeah,
will...
I think for me at the moment the most important thing for her is her communication skills, and eventually I'd love to get her to the point where she can actually go online and look up something that she could actually use the internet and maybe find music, because Anya loves music.
I went to a Bob Dylan concert.
A Bob Dylan concert?
Yes.
Do you like Bob Dylan?
I'm his biggest fan, Peter.
What's your favourite Bob Dylan song?
I'm Mr. Tambourine. That's my favourite.
Oh, I like that too.
How do you do?
It would be good if Anya could say, go onto the internet and read all about him.
My find his hits and look up what hits he's got. Something like that, Peter, but...
Yeah, I think Anya is more than capable once we get to the point where we're showing her around the web browser. I think there's a lot that she can do. I think using the computer is one of the best gifts that she could have. She could have her own hobbies. So I think it's really important for her to have these skills now, so that when she leaves school and she's able to be self-contained and do a bit more online for herself.
Would you like that, Anya?
Yes, Peter. That'd be brilliant.
Well, Carol Keyes is one of the QTVIs that Jackie works with. Carol, I'm just interested to know really how the intersection, as it were, between what Jackie does and what you do works.
Whenever we had one of our older children transitioning into secondary school, we realised the importance, really, the technology was becoming more and more apparent. And it was very difficult with all the changes in technology for us to keep up with this. And for us who are not daily users, Jackie has that lived experience and is using it daily. So we were so happy to reach out to find somebody like Jackie to help us support us and our pupils.
Are there other aspects where this has made a difference to the pupils that she works with? Because you see them, week in, week out. I'm just interested to know what you notice about them.
We are here regularly through the school week and have offered high levels of support within the school, but then we go out the door and we go on to our next school. So we need to make sure that we are giving something that can be left behind with the pupil that they can really embrace and take on and use in their day-to-day, both at home and in school, because technology is really part of their daily life.
The business about the equipment, how difficult is it? Because in a way it's quite a strange area of expertise, isn't it, really?
It is. It's very niche and you could be afraid of it, but I think once we all accept that we can't be experts in everything, we are only one part of a big jigsaw puzzle in support, and there are many people who help around. With this child-centred, with this child in the middle, we have to really look to lots of people with expertise and reach out to them.
Jackie Brown, there's an element of sort of happenstance about this. I'm just wondering really how this job came about and how you see it.
It came about when I started working for RNIB as
a Technology for Life coordinator for Northern Ireland in 2022. And my line manager happened to ask me if I liked working with young people, and I said I did. And he said that the Education Authority of Northern Ireland, their sensory service, have some funding that they could actually use for somebody to go into schools with braille skills and computer skills to help the visually impaired tactile learners, as they're called, in mainstream education across Northern Ireland. But when TFL, Technology for Life, disbanded in the summer of 2024, I was told I couldn't do it anymore. So I decided to set up my own business, which is called Strive Ability. And I decided to step out on my own and do this, renegotiate the contract with the EA. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And I just love it.
Was anybody else doing this quite in the way that you're doing it, do you think?
I don't think so, not that I'm aware, certainly not in Northern Ireland. But I come into schools maybe once every so often, and a lot of my work is done online with the pupils. So I can see more pupils online than I could getting around Northern Ireland in a day. The odd time I can visit 2 schools in a day, but it is quite difficult because they're all spaced out and there is only one blind pupil per school.
Presumably face-to-face is preferable if you can do it.
It is, because it means that I've got hands-on with the equipment. It means if there's an issue with a braille display or JAWS is playing up, then I'm on hand. But it's not always feasible, so I just do Teams online, and there is normally the pupil with the QTVI, and sometimes a classroom assistant is there as well.
And how would you define it? You know, what gap are you trying to fill, do you think?
I'm trying to fill a gap between supporting the staff and supporting the pupil. By me going into a school with a pupil, I'm able to support them, but also give some training to the QTVIs or the classroom assistants to show them what the note taker can do, to show them how to use a braille display with JAWS or all the shortcuts in Word, because not everybody knows all those. So my role is a supporting role.
So for QTVIs, this wouldn't be necessarily something that they would know detailed information about?
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't know about the type of equipment to order, and they wouldn't know possibly some of the workings of the equipment. If you take a Braille Sense 6, for example, it's quite a sophisticated note taker as well as a braille display. So they wouldn't necessarily know all the shortcuts. Even I don't know them all, but at least there is somebody that understands the braille and supports the pupil. It's important emotionally as much as the physical side of supporting a pupil to have that affinity with them. I have the lived experience, and it means that that pupil has someone, if you like, in their corner who understands the frustrations and all the things that, you know, goes through being blind.
Jackie Brown ending our report there from Northern Ireland. I should say that after a well-deserved rap on the knuckles to me from a listener after my failing to make clear that our recent report on the White Paper on special needs education reform applied only to England, we should point out that Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland have all been undertaking their own reviews of special needs provision. Staying with Northern Ireland for a moment, they have just published a special education needs agenda with a 5-year delivery plan. And this month, they're launching a public consultation on reforming the classroom support model for children with special needs. Meanwhile, the Scottish Government's budget for this year includes a £29 million allocation for its special needs workforce. And we're told that charities are pressing for a specific portion of this money to be spent to address the shortage of qualified teachers of the visually impaired, QTVIs. And in Wales, more support has just been announced for children with special needs, including what's described as a toolkit designed to help parents navigate the special needs system, explaining how it is supposed to work and setting out the specific rights of children with special needs. just to flavour what is happening in the other 3 home countries. It all sounds very positive, but as we said, relating to England's white paper, let's see how quickly these promises can demonstrate results. Do continue to tell us about your own experiences, wherever you are in the UK, when navigating the mainstream or special school systems. You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk or leave your voice messages on 0161 836 1338. From me, Peter White, and producer Beth Hemmings, goodbye.